Property managers and landlords have a lot of very interesting use cases from a banking perspective, from large collection of money, payment volume and transactions to escrow accounts sitting in tenant security. Right, a lot of different use cases. Now, ZEscrow, where does that play? It typically plays on those tenant security deposit accounts. Um, what we can do is we can allow first and foremost that there's a register of the ownership of those escrow deposits with the financial institution to make sure that they are FDIC insured, et cetera. However, there's also very specific laws and regulations that vary based off of state by state or even city by city or county by county on what property managers can do or can't do with their tenant security deposit accounts. So we built within this platform a very easy way to not only manage these accounts to keep track of who they belong to, but in addition to that, help them comply with the different local laws on what they can or can't do with security deposits. For example, sometimes you need to send an account opening notification to let them know where the account's being deposited. Certain jurisdictions require that interest is generated on these security deposits and all or a portion of the interest goes to the tenant. In other instances, interest can't sit within the security deposit account until it closes. It actually needs to be dispersed on a frequent basis, right? So a lot of different use cases. The quick story that I want to share here is a financial institution that we were working with. There's a wonderful commercial banker. This was a bank that worked with, and her name's Michelle, and she'd been working on building out a relationship with Elias Akiki. Elias owned a business. It was an auto body shop. And Michelle had been working with him for about 5 years, trying to get the business from another financial institution to be able to bank the auto body shop. After a while, she was creating this relationship. She found out that he had actually been for years and years and years investing the profits from his auto body shop into purchasing rental properties. So much so that he actually had 20 rental properties, not units, properties, of which he had multiple units in each of those properties. So much that Elias was like, man, I feel like I'm running a property management company rather than running my auto body shop. So Michelle had some of the ZSuite products that were tailored specifically for property managers. We did a demo with her, with Elias, to be able to talk about what we did. And afterwards, he's like, oh man, okay, I'm in. Michelle, you've been around for a while and we've been talking, really excited about the bank. These tools really are going to be able to help me manage my property management part of the business much easier. I'm all in. Michelle's like, cool. So, you'll move over security deposits and start collecting rent he's like, no, I'm going to move everything, the auto body shop, property management stuff, all that stuff. We're like, oh, this is awesome. It's so great. He pulled out a checkbook. He's like, hey, is $100,000 okay to start with for an initial deposit? She's like, yeah, that'll be just fine. But my favorite part is when we walked out of the door, he said, hold on a second. I was planning on refinancing about half of my properties, and I was wondering if that's something that you could help with. Of course, Michelle had a big smile on her face. Of course we could. I made sure to follow up about a year later and say, hey, how's everything going with Elias? And she's like, oh, it's going great. We've actually refinanced more than half of his properties and we still have all of his deposits, right? It's a great story on the growth within property management as a particular use case.